Harris Agovic, your biggest fears currently and when you were younger. Currently, I mean, I already had that video where I talked about my irrational fear of being in the middle of the ocean and just like being on a boat even, or even like a yacht, something like that. That's why I don't know if I could ever go on a cruise. It just kind of freaks me out. Even though I know totally it's not a rational fear. You know, you're way less likely to die in a yacht than you are in a car or something like that. But, you know, it's just the context that freaks me out. And I guess when I was younger, I was always afraid that there was some creepy dude under my bed, and this is once again an irrational one, but I never thought it was like a monster that was under there. I always thought that there was like a serial killer under my bed, and he was, when I stepped down, he was gonna take like some scissors or some kind of, you know, those yard clippers, and he was gonna chop the tendon on the back of my ankles off, and then like gag me, and then throw me down and like torture me or something, and that nobody would ever know until the next morning because he would like keep me quiet or whatever. And that's like thinking back on it, that's a pretty messed up fear for like a 8-year-old kid to have. It's like most kids are like, I don't want there to be a monster in the closet, a big fuzzy monster that's gonna come and get me, because of course they don't like explain it any more than that. Come get me. And I guess saying 8 years old is a little bit too old, maybe like 6, but for me it was like, I'm worried that there's a deranged psychopath under my bed with trimming shears, and he's gonna snip my Achilles tendon and then sodomize me on my bed and gag me and then stab me multiple times and flay my skin off and then burn me alive and then scalp me and then, you know, nail my scalp to the bedpost above me and just traumatize my family for the rest of my life. And man, that got dark quickly. There's no way I was thinking of it that deep, but you know, whatever makes for the better story. But as far as like legitimate fears when I was younger, my biggest fears when I was younger was all based on religious stuff. You know, I was terrified at the thought of my loved ones dying and going to hell, and I was terrified of dying and burning for eternity in hell because I wasn't good enough, or I wasn't enough of I wasn't religious enough in my life. You know, and that haunted me all the time, constantly. I went to therapy for it. I've talked about this before, but the therapist was a complete douchebag who validated all of my fears and was like, yep, you should be afraid of hell because it's real. And it's like, you don't tell children that. Like, if they're like lying awake at night almost like in tears because they're like friggin', you know, 8 years old and terrified that their mom is going to die in a car accident the next day and then be tortured forever and ever, like, that's messed up. You don't do that. So that is what I was terrified of when I was little. AWG P7600. Thank you for the incredibly difficult name pronunciation. Would you ever call someone gay as an insult? Has someone you know done that? If so, did you correct them? I mean, I guess I would call someone gay as an insult maybe like 5 years ago when it was more appropriate and it was kind of understood that like gay meant like, oh, that sandwich is so gay, like that sandwich sucks. But like I never really thought of it as insulting, maybe because I'm not gay, you know, I don't really care. But I don't hear anyone say it anymore, you know. It's kind of like the word faggot. Like I call people a faggot if I think they're being a douchebag or if they're being annoying or something like that. Like I can't even imagine like calling a gay guy a faggot, because it's just like what South Park said. It's evolved in our language, in our culture, to the point where a faggot is no longer like a gay guy you don't like. It's just anyone who does something that's that you think is stupid, or like, oh yeah, Mitt Romney, what a faggot, or something like that. So it's gotten to the point where it seems like you put too much weight in what the words are, and the people who put so much weight in the words are the ones who give it this false power. You know, there are some words that are beyond redemption. But then there are some words that people are still changing every day, like the word queer. Homosexuals are using the word queer as with a positive connotation. They're saying, oh yeah, we're the queer movement. They're trying to take back the word that people used as a derogatory term, like, oh, those queers, but now they're making it like, yeah, you're right, we are queers, and we're proud of it, and, you know, taking pride in their, I almost said heritage, and the gay heritage. Nope, none of that, but they're taking pride in who they are, and so that's a good thing. But I don't take much time to correct people on what they call other people as far as words, just because it doesn't matter that much as long as it's not a pure instance of bigotry. Like if I had a friend who is like, if there's like a homosexual waiter or something taking my order, and he like called him a faggot or something as a way of trying to hurt him and make fun of him, then yeah, I would correct him in that way. But if I turned to the right and called my friend a faggot when he like spilled his drink on me a little bit later, and it was just kind of understood, like calling him like, oh, you douche, like just like that, like I wouldn't, nobody cares. You got to get over it. I mean, if you get pissed off about something like that, you are overly sensitive and you need to go jump off a bridge, okay? All right. The box Beastful. McDonald's, Burger King, Carl's Jr., which one is best? If you're talking about pure flavor, I'm going to go with Carl's Jr., but it's also the worst for you and the most expensive. If you're talking about cheap and quick, McDonald's, because even though like you would assume fast food means fast food, and so it's all like on an equal plane of fastness. That was probably explained very poorly. But McDonald's is still the fastest. They just whip those burgers out and just almost throw them at you as you drive by. But if you're going for like a balance, go to Burger King because, you know, you got the Whopper there, which is very tasty and pretty cheap. Way better than the Big Mac and way better for you, I'm pretty sure, than any of those huge Carl's Jr.'s burgers that are just slathered in Thousand Island dressing and they just like dip it in cholesterol before they give it to you. So yeah, I'm going to have to say Burger King overall. Alekinos. Who is the person you hate most in the world? You do not have to know them personally. Love ya. Sharon Osbourne, probably. I just really dislike her. She's famous just because she is irritating and annoying, and I cannot fathom how people who watch America's Got Talent can handle her chattering idiocy that regularly. And it's not even like many specific things that she's done. Like she's made a few like miserably sexist comments and whatnot, and like just really bigoted things over the years that I've looked up on YouTube and whatnot. When I just really just found out like, oh, I hate this person so much, but I can't stop watching them because I just want to hate them more. It feels so good to hate. So maybe that's bad, but I mean, to be honest, I dislike her. But there are very few people that I just really hate in the world. I just want them to die, and I hate them, and I just really just want them out of the earth. Like, there are people like that, but I don't, you know, it's not like I spend a lot of time hating people, which is probably a good thing, you know. But as far as people who I just sincerely and just wholly dislike and think that they offer nothing positive to humankind in any way, shape, or form, I would say Sharon Osbourne. She is terrible, she is worthless, she is beyond redemption because her hair is pink and she has nothing to offer. And even I watched like 30 minutes of America's Got Talent in a hotel waiting room kind of area, and she didn't say anything of merit that whole time either. Like, at least the other stupid morons who were judging had things to say that were like constructive, but she was just another one of those people who's like, oh, I really just didn't like it, not for me. Or it was like, oh, I just loved it, this is the greatest thing of all time, for the next 30 seconds until someone else comes out here and shows me a moderately entertaining trait that nobody else like would ever think to do because it's so stupid, and then I'll tell them the same thing. Like, it's dumb, and I don't like her. And now you got me angry when you asked me about it, so thanks a lot, Alekinos. I'm just kidding, I'm not mad. Alright. Evan Hozinski, do you prefer Subway or Jimmy John's? Man, a lot of food questions today. I'm going to say Subway, and I shouldn't have to explain that, because if you have time to get a sub and you're not rushed for time, you should go to Subway. It's just better than Jimmy John's, you know? The bread is at Jimmy John's is always so just tough. I'm not Matt V. Talk about why you started YouTube. You're amazing, by the way. Thank you. I've answered this a lot, but I know I'm always getting new subscribers and people who are curious, and that you don't want to have to go back and sift through my 600 videos I've uploaded so far or whatnot. And so I started it because I wanted to get to know YouTubers like Woody's Gamertag, like CNanners, like Wings of Redemption, like FPS Kyle. I watched their videos and I realized the only people that these people play with are other YouTubers, so I better become a YouTuber if I want to play with these guys. And I really never anticipated it becoming what it is now. So it's pretty cool. Alright.